Okay, this is my base, and like all bases, it has spaghetti. This is my this part actually looks fairly organized. This is the liquid part of my sort of filtering and storage and distribution stuff, and that doesn't look too bad. But it turns out that just even balancing the pipes that go in for filtering makes even more spaghetti, and liquids come from all over the base, and it's really, I mean, just keeping track of what all this stuff does is very difficult. Maybe I'll zoom out so you can see all of my pipe spaghetti. This is just the liquids. I don't know, it's not, it doesn't look too bad, but it's there's no organized way to deal with it. And I guess I could show you the gases as well. Wait, what's the matter? Did I break the game? it's stuck. I don't know what happened. There we go. I guess I just had to think through all of that for a minute. And it's there's the gases, and it's not quite as bad as the liquids, but there's still this giant spaghetti. Um, and why do I have a bunch of gas filtering? Oh yeah, that's right. I remember why I have gas filtering over here. This is my main gas filter, as a matter of fact. So gases turn out to be even harder to, filter and distribute than liquids, in the sense that you only get 1 kilogram per second through the pipes, whereas liquids you can get 10 kilograms per second through the pipes. And so I've relied a lot more on, sort of direct. Like if I have a pipe full of stuff, I filter the stuff out immediately and then route special pipes from one place to another. And if you pay attention, if you look close, basically most of these pipes are empty as a result of that. And so I have a lot of infrastructure that's just not really all that necessary, just to deal with all the special cases. So anyway, anybody who's played this game much knows this whole organizing, untangling, or actually organizing and tangling the spaghetti is a big sort of part of the game, and it's fun and everything. But I would like a way to eliminate it. Like we need a nice, like a clever way to, collect, filter, and distribute, say, gases, that's sort of universal and handles everything. All right, so what I need is a way to just filter massive amounts of elements, and liquids. There's a way to do it with liquids that is workable, that I quite like. I think I've seen variations of this, at least on a smaller scale, in forums and stuff. So this may not be new to you, but if you just build a thing like this, and whoops, that's not right. And if you played this game very much, you should see instantly almost how this works. So like fluids, they have different weights and they settle at different levels, and so if you just build a little thing like this, then you can separate them out. And you can either let each of these spill into their own reservoir, save that oil for later, like right here, or you could say enclose a couple of pumps, like this, to distribute them somewhere else, to pump out this polluted water, or save this oil. And the point is, you can basically just dump as much liquids as you want into something like that, and it will filter it for you. That's the easy part. Filtering liquids is the easy part of trying to unspaghettify the my base. But ultimately, I mean, watch the rest of my little series here, and you'll see that I'm against this. I don't think it should be done this way, and it's really because of the power requirements. Liquids aren't so bad, but gases are. It costs a lot of power. Like once you have something in a pipe, it's like you can put it anywhere you want, but if you let it out, you have to pump it back in. In order to fill that pipe back up, you have to have a pump run nonstop to fill it up again, and that costs 240 watts. So like in this case, I have 12 pipes. I'm emptying into this liquid fill 240 times 12. So by letting the liquids out of the pipe, I have to spend another almost 3 kilowatts in order to put it back in eventually. And that power, that's the cost of, even though this filter doesn't use any power, like that's the cost of it. 3 kilowatts for a filter like this, and that's a lot for filtering liquid. So is it worth it? I don't think it is, unfortunately. Like, it's really elegant, but I think there has to be a better way. Anyway, so that's the liquid section to this. I should probably mention the liquid filter thing that I was showing you guys. It has some weaknesses. Don't think it's a cure-all. Like, if you get one drop of a liquid in it that you haven't set it up to handle, then the whole thing breaks. Or if you put something in there that's very cold or very hot, then it will freeze the elements around it, or evaporate them, and the whole thing breaks. So it's a neat strategy, but just remember, like all filters, it has limitations. The neat thing about it is the throughput. You can put a tremendous amount of liquid in, and it will just filter all of it. I'm going to turn off the power. No, I'll just leave it running. So the other thing I was about to show you is here's kind of my solution for doing the same thing with gases, and clearly it's a lot more complicated. It's based on distillation, like the way you separate alcohol when you make, say, moonshine, and you have a bunch of sugar and yeast and slurry and water and whatever, and you want to get the alcohol out. Is you warm it up and you put it into like a cold tube, and at some point in that tube, the temperature will be just right to condense the alcohol into a liquid, and then you can take the liquid from there and get basically just alcohol. So this works the same way. Gas distillation. I haven't seen anything on the forums or anything that uses distillation to separate gases. So this is kind of a new thing, I think. Anyway, so I just pump a bunch of gases over here on the right, and so you could just pump any gases you want in here over on the right, and this first area is cold enough to liquefy chlorine and nothing else. So it cools off all of the gases. The chlorine turns to liquid and falls down to the bottom, and the liquid chlorine gets pumped into this chamber, and that's it. That's storage, and the chlorine is separated out. Now all the rest of the gases, they flow over here. This area is cold enough to condense carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide falls to the bottom, gets pumped into this area, and that's it. Pure carbon dioxide, no other gases. The same thing happens for natural gas and sour gas. Turns into methane. It all gets converted to natural gas, which is, I think, good. And the same thing happens for oxygen and polluted oxygen. A neat thing that happens, of course, is polluted oxygen gets converted into clean oxygen, like automatically, because that's what happens when you turn it liquid. And that all ends up down here. And the last area is hydrogen. And you can see it should be a vacuum over here on this end. There's a little hydrogen there. It's almost there's a vacuum. It's almost a vacuum. And that makes sense because at this point all of the gases have been changed into a liquid. So this is my prototype version of this. I came up with some other designs that are a little more reliable and stuff, but the principle is the same. So it's really neat, but it has the same limitation as the liquid filter, right? Like every time you empty stuff out of a pipe, you have to eventually put it back in, and especially with gases, that's very expensive. It takes 2 pumps to fill 1 pipe. So, like this represents 10 pumps worth of gases, and that's of 10 pumps worth of pipes full of gases. So even though it's really neat that you can filter them this way, this machine itself uses some power, not as much as you might think. Like the aqua tuners down here don't usually turn on very often, but definitely eventually you're gonna have to put these gases back into some pumps, and that's let's see, if you need 10 of them and they're 240 watts each, then that's 2400 watts of power just to put the gases back into pipes. And so even though I got very excited about this and I developed it further and made more versions of it that I haven't showed you to get rid of space age materials and make it work better, I decided to abandon the idea because it's just it's too power hungry. Oh, so I didn't mention the point of having this thing for filtering gases. So like basically the idea is if you could just pump all of your gases into a room and then have them come out filtered, then you don't have to have the spaghetti anymore. You just send all of your gases to one place and then distribute them all from one place. So that's the point of having a room like this. And I know it seems like, well, you could just set up a bunch of filters on the pipes and stuff, which is something I will do in, I think, the next video. But that's what makes the spaghetti. So I was thinking it would be nice to have one centralized thing. You can just put all of the gases through it and have them come out correct. And even with filters, you could kind of do that, but let me just say, if you've tried to do that with, like, say 10 input pipes, it's hard. It's an issue. Actually, that's not entirely true anymore. In the next video, I sort of tackle that problem, because how else do you do it, right? And hopefully that's a pretty short video, so I'm going to stop it here.